Hey class, welcome to Module 4 on TCP/IP. So I wanted to kind of set up a little video because the assignment this week is going to be a little bit more intense than it has been. I did not design this course. This is a course was previously designed by a professor who has since retired. So a lot of the homework assignments are just questions in the back of the book. And personally, if you know me as a professor, I don't see that being, if you know me, I don't like to give midterms. I don't like to give final exams, only because I personally feel that, remember a bunch of questions and answers. That's simple. It's like becoming an actor. Just remember your lines for that script and whatever. I'm not saying that that's easy, but I'm more hands-on. I want you to have the experience of actually performing the job so that you are working in industry. You have somewhat of an idea of how things work. So for assignment 4, I'm kind of changing things up a little bit. And so I kind of want to go through what the assignment is and what I'm looking for. And this would be a good week for you to reach out to me. I'll be out of town from Friday to Monday, so just FYI. But up to Thursday, I am available for lots of questions. I may not still answer them, but I'll be in an area with no Wi-Fi or internet. So assignment 4, TCP/IP. The objective for this assignment is to design, configure, and document a small office network using TCP/IP protocols. This will involve setting up basic network infrastructure, configuring devices, and ensuring proper communication between all the network devices. Now, when you look at the book here, it starts on page, actually 6.2 is on 294, and it talks about the OSI models. It talks about usually the different descriptions. It provides detailed information, which is helpful. So part 1 is network design. So what I'm looking for you to do, a network topology diagram. Use any software that you prefer. There's lots of cool software out there. So you're designing a network topology for a small office consisting of router, switch, desktop computers, 2 laptops, 1 network printer, and 1 server. Now, you can find examples in a book. You could Google stuff, obviously. Just come up with something that you would design. That should be simple, but it should also give you an idea of what you're going to do. So think of this. Me personally, working in the industry, I always liked, and I didn't have many opportunities where I got to work for a company that was starting up, because sky's the limit. And with the knowledge that you have going into that, you could kind of model things the way you wanted to, which is cool. So think of that. That's part 1. Part 2 is IP addressing scheme. Use Excel or Google Sheets, whatever you prefer, or whatever. Assign an IP address schema using a private IP address, range, ensure all devices. So in this case, what I would do here is I would set up like a table, have like a device name. So for example, maybe your switch or your router. I have another field for IP address, like 192.168.1.1, and then another column, which is your subnet mask. Pretty much just can probably be defaulted 255.255.255.0. Okay, so there you go. If you have those three things, the device, and it talks about that in the book as well. It starts talking about it on page 295. It talks about the transport protocol, the port number. I'm not looking for port number, but if you do that schema, so you set up your topology, you're like, hey, here's my desktop number 1. Okay, that IP address is 192.168.1. Maybe 101. And maybe desktop number 2 is 102, and so forth. So it's kind of getting into the gist of, hey, you're setting up your environment, and you want to know what computers are your IP addresses. And the reason you want to know that is because if something goes bad or something goes down, and you're like, hey, IP address is causing problems. Oh, okay, that's that computer. Okay, so that's what you want to do there. So that's part 2. Well, part 1 still. Let's see, what else do we have here? Part 2, network configuration. Router configuration, use Word or Google Docs to list information. You're going to choose a appropriate IP address to LAN interface, DHCP, and NATs. So in this case right here, what I would do here is LAN interface. So if you do IP address and your IP address, your LAN, like it's talking about your main LAN area. So in my case, 192.168.1.1, you'll just list that, and you could do that in Sheets or Word, whatever you prefer. And then DHCP configuration. Provide your local configuration, what a DHCP is. You know, network is, an example is 192.168.1.0 and port 24. What's the default router? What's the DNS server? And what's the address range? So what's the range of an address? So if you've ever gone to a hotel and you've been like me, if you've ever gone to a hotel, you connect to the Wi-Fi and you use an app or a program on your computer or your laptop, and you scan the network, and some small hotels will have a small range. But if you get to a larger hotel, you'll see the range is kind of hard to pick up because there's a huge range of different IP addresses. So that's what I'm looking for in that part. Let's see here. So part 2, network configuration. 1 is router configuration. 2 is switch configuration. 3 is device configuration. So the other one's NAT configuration, switch configuration. Switch will be like, okay, here's your switch that you have in place. What I'm looking for in that area is walking through and pretending that you're connected to it. A, was it enabled? Means true or false. Is it on? B, what's the VLAN? So what's the VLAN? What's the IP address? And that's it. Pretty straightforward. And then you will want to choose a VLAN configuration. So in this case right here, what I'm looking for is name of the VLAN. How would you test it? So look in the book how you would test it, and list out those test pieces, and that would be your VLAN configuration. When would you use a VLAN configuration? Well, if you're testing a network that's having problems, you're definitely going to check a configuration. You want to see what it is so that you can easily identify where the problem's occurring. Let's see. So then we go down to device configuration. Device configuration, configure static IP address to your server, pretend server. So in this case right here, put your IP address, subnet, and default gateway. So you can use your local stuff. Static IP on a network printer. So, IP doesn't change. If you have a printer at home and you do wireless configuration, use that as well. That's good. And then you're going to list out all your configurations. So number 3 is device configuration. So your pretend server, IP address, subnet, default gateway, and so forth. Network printer, laptops, computers, all the things that you design in your topology is going to be listed there. Okay. Then you're going to move down to part 3, testing and documentation. So connectivity test, show commands that you would use to perform this test. Ping command is obviously a simple one to ping to see if the network's there. So in this case right here, you can make this up. You're going to ping all those things that you can ping, desktop, laptop. You can put all that information there. Okay, so that's that part. Documentation. Overall, create policy. Okay, step by step. What would you do? Pings. Submission. Submit the following PDF document, prefer. So if you did all this stuff in Excel, just fill in a Word document or equivalent to Word, and then create a PDF, and that would be great. Configuration files for router, switch, applicable. So when you get down to, say, when you're doing your testing documentation, you did all your ping results, your network server configuration, web server configuration. So for example, make it up, install a web server. Did you do Apache for Java? Did you do IIS for classic web form application, web form application? Did you do Node.js? Something like that. You don't have to create an HTML page. You can pretend that you created one. And how would you navigate to it? So if you've taken my class, you know what the local host address is. If you don't, Google it. But it's 127.0.0.1. I may be lying to you, but you can figure it out. That could be your web server configuration, printer configuration, whatever your desktop IP is, well, the IP to your printer is. Network scanning, pretend that you did a network scan and everything worked fine. Documentation includes network topology diagram, IP address table, step-by-step configuration procedures, results of connectivity tests that you did, screenshots if you have some, and that's pretty much it. And the grading is completeness and accuracy of the network topology. So, make it look good. Correct and efficient IP address schema. Successful configuration of network devices. Proper documentation and implementation of a basic network. And overall clarity and organization of submitted paper. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to submit a paper that has that much information. You want to make it look good. So this assignment is a lot of work. I'm not going to lie to you. But I think you can learn something from it based off of what you read in the book, based off of what video that you watch. Learning is power. And this I think will help moving forward. If you have questions, you know how to reach me. You have my email address. And at this point, I haven't graded your assignments. I would assume that you guys are all on Element. I did see a couple things pop up that people were trying to connect. That was 25 bonus points. So have a good week. Be safe.